How's it going, everyone? Taki here, back with another video. Today we're going to be covering the Song of Seren event, which takes place on May 10th through May 13th. On screen is an overview of this guide. You can find timestamps for all of these sections in the description box below, so you can reference this throughout the weekend. First, let's talk about support. The skills that are affected during these 2 hours are Agility, Dungeoneering, Slayer, Thieving, and Invention. You will get no XP penalties for dying in a dungeon, you'll get increased loot from safecracking, and all Slayer tasks will act as if you had a VIP Slayer ticket. Your top 3 choices during the support block are going to be Thieving, Slayer, and Agility. Thieving is a great option, especially if you have safecracking unlocked, as you'll be able to make a decent amount of money from safecracking. Slayer is also a great option during this time, but I say that with the caveat that I really wouldn't do Slayer during this 2-hour block unless you have 90 plus combats. Agility is something that you should definitely consider, especially if you don't have 77 agility for the Heffen course. If you do have 77 agility or higher, you should consider using Silverhawk boots while you're training Slayer or Thieving. Dungeoneering is a tier 2 option, strictly for the fact that there are already in-game items that can give you a really good boost to Dungeoneering with the cost of only an in-game currency that you'll be able to farm during this weekend. And that leaves us with Invention, which is the worst option out of this bunch due to the fact that it is not inside the combat tier, which it would have benefited more from. In the combat section, we have attack, strength, defense, range, magic, constitution, summoning, and prayer. You're going to be able to get +1 to all charm drops, decrease instant costs, and 1 auto res to full HP per run in elite dungeons. The combat tier list is a little bit more straightforward, with almost everything being a tier 1 option, with the exception being summoning and prayer. There are going to be a few locations that are going to be highly competitive during these 2 hours. That's going to be things like the Abbey Demons, Firewatch, which is the only reason why prayer isn't a tier 3 option, Water Fiends, and the Abyss, which I do not recommend doing at all, as there is already an item that you should be using there normally for a 1.5 increase. In order to avoid those highly competitive areas and make the most out of your 2 hours, I would suggest that you do ED1 token farming. You're going to be able to get 1.2 to 1.8 mil XP in a style of your choice during that full hour, and you will also benefit from the added charm drops. This has the added benefit of giving you a ton of currency that you can spend on Dungeoneering wildcards. Moving on to Gathering, we have Divination, Farming, Fishing, Hunter, Mining, and Woodcutting. You're going to get a 10% chance not to deplete an uncharted resource. Hall of Memories hotspots won't move as much, and you'll get 10% more beans at player-owned farms. Your top tier choices for this 2-hour block are going to be Hunter, Divination, Fishing, and Mining. Hunter is probably going to be the thing that is the most competitive during these 2 hours for some proposed changes that are going to be happening in July, so you might want to skip that if you don't really need the experience. I would only consider doing Divination if you already had 70 plus. If you use the information from my Divination guide, you'll be able to use the FC in there and camp the Hall of Memories for some really good XP rates. However, if you're just looking for some AFK experience, Fishing and Mining are going to be your top choices. Farming and Woodcutting are situational in tier 2, as they're things that you're not going to want to be actively doing during this time. Your farming is going to be limited to just checking your tree runs during these 2-hour blocks, and your woodcutting is going to be limited to only doing evil tree spawns. You should keep the evil tree FC up during this time, and you should actively be looking out for a tree that matches your woodcutting level. The XP rates that you're going to be able to get from this are going to be exceptional. And the last one we have is Artisan. You're going to be able to do herblore, smithing, crafting, construction, firemaking, fletching, runecrafting, and cooking. You're going to get a reduced chance of burning food, a 2.5% chance to save on secondary ingredients, and increased node spawns in the rune span. Your tier 1 options are going to be herblore, smithing, crafting, construction, and fletching. To make the most out of the Artisan block, you're definitely going to want to make sure that your bank is stocked full of supplies. Herblore is definitely a decent candidate for this weekend, especially with that 2.5% chance to save on secondaries, but you could wait with your supplies for another double XP weekend. Smithing is also a great option, although due to its slow speed, I wouldn't consider doing this unless you were making burial items. Aside from this, crafting, construction, and fletching are all decent options to do with high XP methods. Your tier 2 options are going to consist of cooking and firemaking. Cooking is definitely the better option out of the two, especially if your cooking level is lower, due to the fact that you're going to be burning less food. That leaves us with runecrafting, which could be a tier 1 option, although there's a little bit of a caveat to that. Runespan really isn't worth doing at all during this weekend, and that leaves you with Abyss training for the best XP rates. But that also means that there are going to be a ton of people using the Abyss, and tons of potential PKers that are going to want to kill those people that are using the Abyss. I would personally only consider doing runecrafting if you had access to the Soul Altar and another character to be able to drop pure essences for you so you don't have to leave. Anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know what goals you have for this weekend in the comments below. That's the end of this one. If you liked the video, consider dropping a like below and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Feel free to take a look at one of the videos on screen now, and until next time, Taki out.